how did a 12-year-old boy become the most powerful man on the planet?
Sometimes I forget what a powerful bender that kid is.
As we study the evolution of Aang's power, we'll be exploring his growth in all 4 elements. Each will have skills that demonstrate functional and combative proficiency. We'll also check out his connection to the Avatar state, the spirit world, and energy bending. Born into the air nomads, Aang began to master airbending before he even knew he was the Avatar. At age 6, he was a better airbender than kids twice his age. By 10, he was better than his own teachers. And by 12, he invented the air scooter.
First, you form the ball. Then you gotta get on quick.
Despite his youthfulness, he had already earned the ceremonial tattoos of a master airbender, the youngest in history. But the fun and games would soon end.
We have known you were the Avatar for some time.
Normally, we would have told you of your identity when you turned 16, but there are troubling signs.
I fear that war may be upon us, young Avatar.
We need you, Aang.
This moment changed Aang's life. Everything he cared for was about to be ripped away. So he attempted to flee from his destiny. When a storm threatened his and Appa's life, Aang used his yet unrealized Avatar powers to seal them both inside a ball of frozen energy for the next 100 years.
Next thing I knew, I was waking up in your arms after you found me in the iceberg. What's going on here?
You tell us. How'd you get in the ice? And why aren't you frozen?
I'm not sure.
They began a journey north in search of a waterbending teacher, and on that journey, we saw just how powerful airbending could be. On a functional level, Aang could fly with the help of his glider, leap great distances, and so much more. Although the first time Aang would airbend in combat would be against Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation royal family.
Looking for me?
You're the airbender? You're the Avatar?
Aang grew up among the peaceful air nomads. Violence doesn't come naturally to pacifists, but Aang did have one trick up his robe. What? Did Aang just spontaneously master waterbending?
How did you do that? With the water! It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
I don't know. I just sort of did it.
Spoiler alert, Aang had tapped into a spiritual mindset called the Avatar state. For the second time, actually.
The Avatar state is a defense mechanism designed to empower you with the skills and knowledge of all the past avatars. The glow is the combination of all your past lives, focusing the energy through your body.
It'd be a little while before Aang learned this fact, but one thing was clear. This was his most powerful skill, even if it was more of a reflex. Now back to bending. Aang had several action-packed encounters that continued to build his combative airbending.
Typical airbender tactic. Avoid and evade.
Aang was taught that fighting should only be a counter-reaction, which is why his defense was naturally great. But Aang was now learning offense too. Before long, he could float like a flutterbat and sting like a scorpion bee. He began to demonstrate air blades, projectile tunnels, and even fan blasts. It was as if his airbending couldn't get any better. So what about his waterbending? Well, not so fast. While on the journey north, Aang discovered one other ability, his connection to the spirit world.
You must be the Heibai spirit. My name is...
Being the Avatar means you're infused with Rava, the spirit of light and peace. You have the capacity to act as a bridge between the mortal world and the spirit world. A skill Aang flexed prematurely.
The sun is rising. Perhaps he will return soon.
What? No, I'm right here.
After accidentally projecting himself into the spirit world, we eventually learned there were other ways to communicate with spirits. Methods like meditation or through ceremonial shrines, which is how Aang first spoke to his previous incarnation.
It's good to see you, Aang. What took you so long?
Talking with the late Avatar Roku revealed quite a bit.
Mastering the elements takes years of discipline and practice. But if the world is to survive, you must do it by summer's end.
I haven't even started waterbending and we're still weeks away from the North Pole. What am I gonna do?
Calm down, it's gonna be okay. If you want, I can try and teach you some of the stuff I know.
You do that?
Time for Waterbending 101.
Just push and pull the water like this. The key is getting the wrist movement right.
Like this?
Aang was quick at learning the basics, much to Katara's chagrin.
Wow, I can't believe you got that so quickly. It took me 2 months to learn that move.
Well, you had to figure it out all on your own. I'm lucky enough to have a great teacher.
There may be other reasons why this came so naturally to Aang. As an air nomad, he's used to meditating, focusing on the energy around him. While waterbenders, they rely on their own flow of energy. You might compare it to like using the same variables in different math equations.
Looks like I got the hang of that move. What else you got?
That's enough practicing for today.
Aang quickly exhausted Katara's toolbox of waterbending basics, though their joint education was not drying up just yet.
Look at this, Aang. It's a waterbending scroll. Check out these crazy moves.
The team discovered some rare instructions, which included the water whip. And when the pirates they stole that scroll from hunted down Team Avatar, Aang and Katara explored collaborative bending.
We need a team of rhinos to budge this ship.
A team of rhinos, or 2 waterbenders.
Collaboration would help them move ships, create whirlpools, pull water from deep underground, and even manipulate clouds. This is the first time Aang demonstrated the abstract art of cloud bending, a combination of air and water bending, perfect for warning a superstitious village against pending doom.
Oh my!
Oh, and when that pending doom erupted, Aang's current skill set was put on display. Interestingly enough, Aang's predecessor, Avatar Roku, he actually perished in a similar conquest. I guess lessons can transcend lifetimes. Eventually, Team Avatar made it to the North Pole, where Aang studied under Master Pakku. Now, Aang may have been a talented student, but his discipline was that of a 12-year-old boy.
Pupil Aang,
Yes, Master Pakku?
care to step into the sparring circle? I figure since you found time to play with house pets, you must have already mastered waterbending.
I wouldn't say mastered, but check this out.
Aang's enrollment in Pakku University came to an end when the Fire Nation attacked. Time for Aang's first major test, stopping the Siege of the North. His combative airbending broke up the Fire Nation's most destructive tools, and he used his limited knowledge of the spirit world to seek additional help. This was the first time Aang entered the spirit world through meditation, and when all hope seemed lost, Aang tapped into the Avatar state to actually merge with the spirit of the ocean. Together, they eliminated the Fire Nation threat. For now. But what would this mean for his education?
I've decided to go to the South Pole.
What about Aang? He still needs to learn waterbending.
Well, then he better get used to calling you Master Katara.
Still, Aang had more to learn, and it would continue under Katara's guidance. Now, if finding a waterbending master was a journey, finding an earthbending teacher would be more of a hunt. Their first choice only wanted to manipulate Aang. This guy wanted to force our young Avatar into the powerful, destructive Avatar state, even if it meant using Katara as bait.
It worked! It worked!
On the flip side, this is when Roku elaborated on just what the Avatar state actually was, the good and the bad.
It's time you learned. In the Avatar state, you are at your most powerful. But you are also at your most vulnerable.
What do you mean?
If you are killed in the Avatar state, the reincarnation cycle will be broken, and the Avatar will cease to exist.
Quite the caveat, don't you think? Aang pocketed this information and chose not to study earthbending under such a careless master.
We just have to find out a way to control you when you're like that.
You're out of your mind.
The hunt for an earthbending master continued, while Aang and Katara practiced their waterbending skills. Witness the octopus form. And that's not the only muscle he'd exercise.
Everything is connected.
He'd further embrace his spiritual connections in this mysterious swamp, whose hallucinations actually led to his future earthbending teacher.
Your champion, the Blind Bandit!
AKA Toph Beifong.
He's the greatest earthbender I've ever seen.
She may have been blind, but learning from the original earthbenders, badger moles, taught her unparalleled talent. Now, teaching that to Aang was easier said than done.
Maybe there's another way. What if I came at the boulder from a different angle?
No, that's the problem. You've got to stop thinking like an airbender. There's no different angle, no clever solution, no trickety trick that's gonna move that rock. You've got to face it head on. And when I say head on, I mean like this.
Whoa!
As an air nomad, the methodology behind earthbending wasn't connecting with Aang. He was used to going with the flow, not brute force. The root of earthbending was essentially the opposite of airbending. Toph practically turned over every stone trying to teach Aang, until he was forced to use brute force to protect Sokka.
Do it now! Earthbend, Twinkle Toes. You just stood your ground against a crazy beast. Do it! You did it! You're an earthbender.
I can't believe it!
And there it is. Aang unlocked the earthbending mindset.
Appa! Appa! I can earthbend now. The key is being completely rooted, physically and mentally unmovable. Whoa!
This was finally a tool whose offensive benefits came naturally. Like when he needed to defend himself against the Fire Nation princess Azula. Or when Team Avatar had to break into the Earth Kingdom Palace. Check out Aang's devastating pillar wave. Aang's comfort with earthbending developed rapidly, fueled by escalating conflict in a corrupt Earth Kingdom.
You're the Avatar? No, him.
Over here.
As Team Avatar began to witness the complexity of war, Aang decided to break away from bending and refocus on his most powerful skill.
You said you could teach me to gain control of the Avatar state. How?
You must gain balance within yourself before you can bring balance to the world.
Mastering the Avatar state would require opening all his chakras, which are sort of pools of energy in your body.
Each pool of energy has a purpose and can be blocked by a specific kind of emotional muck. Be warned. Opening the chakras is an intense experience, and once you begin this process, you cannot stop until all 7 are open.
Aang accepted the risk and moved forward. In the process, the Avatar surrendered his fears, released his guilt. But when it came to letting go of earthly ties, especially when Katara was suddenly in mortal danger,
I have to go!
No, Aang. By choosing attachment, you have locked the chakra. If you leave now, you won't be able to go into the Avatar state at all.
Aang left to rescue Katara, and he found her. But it led to a battle against Azula and Zuko. He was using some powerful bending techniques. Aang even took a chapter from Toph's playbook and made gemstone armor. But when it seemed like the only option left was the unmastered Avatar state, it did not go well. The beginning of the end. Summer was heating up. Aang mastered airbending, was a great waterbender, proficient earthbender. But now he could no longer access the Avatar state, not with his chakra locked. On top of that, they had no idea where to find a firebending master. Actually, Aang had found a firebending master long before he was ready to learn.
Before learning firebending, you must learn water and earth. Water is cool and soothing. Earth is steady and stable. But Fire is alive. It breathes. It grows. Without the bender, a rock will not throw itself. But fire will spread and destroy everything in its path if one does not have the will to control it.
The master was right. When Aang persisted, he learned firsthand that playing with fire is not child's play.
Katara! I'm so sorry!
After burning Katara, Aang swore off firebending. But with the war coming to an apex, he now knew there was no other option. Still, his search for a teacher wasn't looking good, until a teacher found him.
Hello, Zuko here.
Zuko's own complicated struggle left him a changed man. And as the great-grandson of Avatar Roku, who better to teach Aang firebending?
What was that? That was the worst firebending I've ever seen.
I thought it was nice.
On second thought, maybe Zuko wouldn't be the best teacher. He had essentially lost his ability to firebend. Firebending had been largely taught as an act of destruction, fueled by your most aggressive emotions.
I don't want to rely on hate and anger anymore. There has to be another way.
You're gonna need to learn to draw your firebending from a different source. I recommend the original source.
Eventually, they found that source. Dragons! Ran and Shaw were the original masters of firebending. And they deemed Aang and Zuko worthy enough to impart the burning art's true nature.
All this time, I thought firebending was destruction. But now I know what it really is. It's energy and life.
Finally, he had mastered firebending. He had achieved control over every element, and he did it in a way that would make the monks proud. All that was left was to save the world. The end of summer was here. Fire Lord Ozai was preparing to eliminate the entire Earth Kingdom. It appeared Aang's only choice was to kill Ozai to maintain balance, though he knew death couldn't be the only answer. To find another option, Aang was able to ask his past selves, even while the Avatar state was still locked.
You must be decisive.
Only justice will bring peace.
You must actively shape your own destiny and the destiny of the world.
No one gave him the answer he wanted to hear. All signs still pointed towards a violent end, until one, even older advisor.
Darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purifying light.
What did this mean? Too late to figure it out. Ozai was in action, which meant it was time for Aang's final test.
Please listen to me. We don't have to fight. You have the power to end it here and stop what you're doing.
I do have the power. I have all the power in the world!
Aang put on an impressive performance, but when redirecting lightning, a potential death blow to Ozai, he couldn't do it. Ozai took advantage and eventually backed our hero into a corner. Then finally, when all hope was lost, destiny knocked. Like earthly acupuncture, Aang's chakra was unlocked, and the Avatar state was ready to take no prisoners. The moment of truth. Would he slay the Fire Lord? Would his past lives compel him to do the unthinkable? No. Deep down in his heart, Aang knew that life wasn't the enemy. Ozai's life was not the enemy. Power was the enemy. So Aang took Ozai's power away. That's right, Aang used the unknown power of Energybending to remove Ozai's power, eliminating the tyrant's firebending altogether. At 12 years old, Avatar Aang mastered all 4 elements. He saved the world, and he refused to let his own power corrupt his internal harmony. Beyond that, he mastered control over the Avatar state, discovered energy bending, and maintained a deep connection with the spirit world. After the 100-Year War, he'd continue to fight for peace, helped create Republic City, started a family with Katara, and after passing on, Aang would guide the next Avatar, as Roku had once done for him.
When we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change.
Now, what was your favorite Aang moment? What display of power did you love the most? Comment below, and keep watching for all things Avatar.
You're the man, Twinkle Toes.